all the good people of faith, churchy people, all the good churchy folks who walked by him did not have a single bit of movement in their compassion area, in their bowels. There was no feeling in of compassion in them as they walked past that same person. And so it is interesting to feel there is, I think, to me, that one, when I saw that word is there in that story, I was like, that feels like current event, right? Like we are
Yeah.
the people who say they're the most religious are walking past people who are bleeding on the side of the road right now, and just being like, oh, you know what? I really got to work on my tax break for my rich buddies over here, or I got to make sure we have this Bitcoin treasury built up because that's the most important thing we need to be working on. And you're just like, oh my God. So do I have feelings about that? I do. We can move on. We can move on. Also, some of these, when Jesus, before he heals someone, it often will say he heard them crying, he saw them, whatever, and he was moved by compassion. He had compassion on them. One of my favorite versions of that is in Mark and Matthew. It shows up in both of those gospels when he sees so many people. He comes out, sees a crowd,
Yeah.
and it said in Matthew it says they were harassed and helpless, like a sheep without a shepherd. And in Mark they say they were as sheep not having a shepherd. They were lost. Essentially, this idea that they were just. And I felt that also as like a current event. Like here's us, just like harassed and helpless feels harassed and helpless. Well, helpless too. Harassed and helpless feels very, very accurate for how some of us are feeling right now. And to feel like when Jesus, what moves Jesus to compassion, to suffer with, is not rich and powerful. It is not the people who have it all together or who are doing the right things in the story. It is the people who are struggling and lost and hurting and confused and overwhelmed and in need of healing. And that is what moves Jesus to compassion. And I just think there are no times where Jesus is like, oof, you know what?
Kind of busy right now.
I mean, it's just so brutal to decide that this thing that is so obviously all over scripture is suddenly not Christian and is not biblical and has nothing to do with Jesus. And you just, again, it makes me feel so gaslit right now to be like, are we reading the same thing? How are we reading the same thing?